the development or the transformation to a cash-based economy, and possibly if this is addressed, because these are development partners, these are people who are working on different projects across the country. If, for example, the director Muroto or the director Potido is working on his next project proposal to come up with an intervention, what is that most pressing thing that he should address, and what would be the best approach? Of course, it needs context, the communities vary, but then there are those factors. For example, we've been talking about mindset change. We've been talking about issues of ownership of land. What are the most pressing challenges? Each panelist is going to just use 1 minute strictly. What's the most pressing challenge? What's the best approach and intervention? 1 minute for each panelist, and we shall go into an open session of question and answer. Thank you. Anyone ready to start? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been given 1 minute. Yes. As a researcher on culture, this is what we have discovered. Our parents, we have relegated our duties. Parenting is a full-time job. However, because we are living in a highly demanding economy, we have relegated our parenting job. You find that most of the times, our children are parented by handlers, social media, peers, to mention but a few. My colleagues were talking about, have we mentored the youth enough? Have we mentored them enough? But most of the time, we parents are absent. We have a lot of struggles to make ends meet for the family. That's why we have left an empty space. And in this era of globalization, our children have picked up information here and there. As we speak about transforming our society to a cash-based economy, let us look at this. Long ago, homesteads had what they called family jobs. Family jobs. And once a child is born, this child knew, my parents are coffee farmers. My parents are blacksmiths. My parents are fisher mongers. And the children knew. And the parents took the responsibility to ensure that the children really understand where money came from. But today, we are failing somehow. You find that we go to school, our children go to school, and the first choice is a white-collar job. I'm taken to school to be a lawyer. I'm taken to school to be a nurse. So we look at that. We need to go back to the drawing board in Ibusoga. Let us look at our cultural values. These ones, we have set them apart in the name of modernity, being brought about by globalization. Yes, we can maintain our cultural values as well as picking a few aspects from modernization. If I'm a coffee farmer, how can I grow my coffee in a way that I reach the global standards and still get money for my household? If I'm a blacksmith, how can I really make use of the current technology to be a better blacksmith and maintain the job of the family? How can I be a best dairy farmer? So parents, we need to take center stage to teach our children. Homes are the first schools and parents are the first and last teachers. Our colleague was talking about PDM. How are we parents, how have we played a role of using PDM to uplift the standards of our homes? The Myoga, How have we as homesteads used the opportunities available? Today we are talking about hubs, training hubs. Unless a parent takes center stage, we may not do a lot. We need to go back to the drawing board. Look at our cultural values. We are living in an era where we are talking about the global goals, sustainable development. We cannot acquire sustainable development unless we look at development in the lenses of our cultures. When we talk about cultures, there is a mistake of looking at the negative side of it. But how can we harness the good cultural values to enjoy sustainable development? Because we have left that aside, that's why you find that many youth are selling their lands in the villages to come to town. Let us, parents, play our role. Like I'm saying, I'm concluding, a parent and a home is the first teacher and the first school, where we need to learn probably all the setbacks we are undergoing are because maybe the children have not had role models. The parents have not shown the children good role models in our communities, unless we harness these cultural values. For example, we have the issue of land. Land has become a problem. People are fighting over land, domestic violence is coming out of land, communities are having issues of land. Sincerely, if we harness the value of integrity in our cultures, not only in Busoga, but I believe even in other communities, the value of integrity. What are the parents telling their children about integrity? Respect for hard work. What are we parents telling our children about hard work? When most of the time energetic people are found in trading centers, engaging in conversation, politics, instead of working in their homes. What are the parents telling their children about leadership? We have all the opportunities around us, but what are the parents telling their children about leadership? So let us harness the values in our cultures so that we can enjoy the opportunities around, put them in practice, and then we shall be able to acquire the desired result, cash-based economy in our communities.
Thank you so much, Madam Lydia, for that diagnosis and a proposal of intervention. Our dear RCC wants to run away quickly because he's leading a certain delegation somewhere. And Mr. Aras, what are the possible resources that can be harnessed from within Busoga? Because I know you're coming from Hoima, but you understand Busoga very well. What are the possible resources that Caritas, that other civil society players, that government can harness in Busoga to ensure that there is cash transformation?
Thank you very much. We are talking about the most important resource. It's the people themselves. We have them, though they are sick, poor, they may be poor or sick, sorry, but they are still alive. And in planning, we say that form determines function. The way Busoga looks, the way Busoga's geography is, determines what needs to be done there effectively to change the livelihood of the people. One is we need to prioritize rightly. The problem we have is about, in addition to what she has said, because I concur with her, but what we have to do as well is how are we prioritizing our economic issues? What needs to be done first, where, and when? I did some studies in urbanization, and we say in urbanization that the most valuable variables in urbanization are space and time. Yes, it may be true that there is land fragmentation in Busoga, but what can we still do in the small land that we have? What are we using it for? Because it can also, there are some intensified farming which can be done even here in the center of the city, and one is able to survive and live a good life a good long life when it's just in a small area but it's concentrating, the concentrative development model. It can help. Now, yeah, people are giving up so fast. They are not utilizing what is accessible.
Maybe, Mr. Alice, allow me to interject. You know, when you see that the people are a resource, now there is that meme lately that people say that life is wealth, but everyone seems to be having life, but they don't seem to be wealthy. So when you say that people are a resource, people have been there. The land has been there. But we realize that there has been no that transformation from subsistence to a cash-based economy. So the people have been there, the land has been there. What else can we do differently at this particular point? Yes, building on the people, building on what is there. What is that one thing that can be done differently, probably in one of the forthcoming interventions, that probably can transform the lives of the people?
I have been making my second submission on an assumption that it's an addition to what I said in the first segment about the priorities of the human development model. What is very key, what should be done first. And I gave them the 7 pillars in that priority order, where it begins with the acquisition of knowledge, decent standards of living. This is something which is key. It is only the brains which love to be smart that will do smart things. Someone who is feeding well, who can think about educating his child. And then they work, they support it, these seven pillars support each other. So at this stage, when I say people are the resource themselves, they choose whether to develop or not to develop stubbornly. Because you may come with nice programs. There is now discovery of minerals in some parts of eastern Uganda, and Busoga in particular, like Namayingo, there has been long artisan mining there. Now government has come in with the heavy equipment, people are signing contracts, but how many Busoga are even concerned of what is happening in the mining sector? How prepared are we for that? We are saying Bunyoro has gas and oil, but because they have marketed their niche now, oil and gas, we think that that is what is going to drive Uganda's economy to the next generation, which is going to make us realize Vision 2040. But we are forgetting that gold is more expensive than oil and gas. And that's what Busoga has, with rare minerals. But how equipped is our population for this? And what are the allies doing to make the people aware of their roles in these new discoveries? The exploration, and what is going to happen after that? Who is discussing these contracts? Is it the Chabazinga? Which platform in Busoga is concerned about the mineral discovery in Busoga and exploration aspect of it? Or we are leaving it to the foreigners to come, buy land in these areas in big chunks, exploiting even our people because they are not unsuspecting people who don't know even whether their land is also part of those seated on minerals or not. And then at the end of the day, we become hewers of fire and drawers of water, as the resources are being siphoned away, getting that curse of minerals. So these are key things. When I say that the people themselves are the resource, we need also to segment this population to know what is the role of these allies. How many have PhDs? Where are they? What are they doing? How many have trained in mineral exploration? available, accessible academician we have who is ready to mingle and interact with everyone. We thank you, Doctor. Out of your busy schedule, you find time to come and share your wealth of knowledge with us.
Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry. I beg to leave early because I'm leading a delegation from Western Uganda to Namutumba. They're already here. They've been waiting for over an hour. And we are time bad. Allow me to...
Yes, we really appreciate Mr. Robert for having sacrificed your time. One question from the audience to Mr. Kanusu. One burning, yes. And there is Mr. Just one. At least before you leave.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Wana RDC. One, for accepting the call from Caritas to come and have an interface with us. We appreciate it. I have been keenly following your submission regarding transforming our communities to the cash economy. And in your presentation, you did say there seems to be, how can I say it, fear for people to engage. But then in our experience as Caritas, because we always have interface with the cross-section of people, persons with disabilities, youth, women, and men. It is important to note that most of the people have the urge to engage so as to transform into the cash economy. However, the enablers from government, are not, influencing or motivating the people to transition to that. For example, I'm happy I'm talking to the RDC, who is a representative of the president. Taxation has become super, to the extent that any initiative that you take so as to realize some income, government is at your fingertips. It's at your doorway, super taxing it. And yet, the money that I earn would enable me to transition another person to the cash economy. However, the only innovation that government is looking at is super taxing. Martin Luther King once said that when government turns to super tax the citizens for purposes of its own development, it's like a man climbing in a bucket and attempting to lift up himself, which cannot happen. So whereas other factors remain constant, curtailing the youth, the women, the persons with disabilities to engage into the cash economy, there is that. Transport now, because of the taxation, is high. So in your interactions with the key persons in government, I think it's imperative for you to look at that aspect. And that will enable us to motivate the youth, the persons with disabilities, women, to engage in this cash economy. And that is one thing I call the enabling environment. I thank you. I had this quick question for you. I think others will come for the other panelists. I thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. I think brother has brought a very intellectual question. But government of recent has been concentrating more on community development first. But in the context of what you are questioning about, I believe you are looking at the other stage, the second stage, which deals with investment. Yeah, am I right? Yeah, whereby people have now chosen what to do, they are doing it, and they've reached the level of now paying taxes to government. And now it's asking what is the tax regime for such people who have now proceeded from the lowest stage of community development to the stage of investment. Am I right? I think the problem we have here is working in isolation, and also where people just think that everything is political economics and not developing economics. Because these are two different things. There are many people who always rhetoric, they will move around with a lot of rhetorics about political economics, mixing up issues and not concentrating more on policies and factors that drive development economics. So I would think that I'm not an expert in terms of economics, but I just guess that the challenge here is working in isolation, which is very common in our sub-region here. People work in isolation, and which makes it difficult for them to push, lobby, and ask for tax waivers or considerable taxation issues. So when they go for registration, when they go to take their returns, they go as if they're in the other class of Malivani, or Meta, and Mukwano. Instead it would be better if we are in our communities, identify your people in your own class, in your cohorts, come together in an interdisciplinary aspect of way, but advocate for fair taxation. Saying, yes, we are here, we have started paying tax, but we have challenge A, B, C, D. We haven't reached the level of Keshwara, we haven't reached the level of this high first class. I know there are policies which can cater for that class of people, and I know government has always been there for them, just like it has been there for them in terms of getting credit facilities for such kind of upcoming SMEs. Then lastly, I wish to, I think I have done much on that.
Thank
the
you
best
so
of my
much,
knowledge,
Mr.
but my comrades here who are experts can add on that question, because it is very advanced economics which you are taking us into.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robert, for that answer about coming together to advocate. And at this, we wish to permit Mr. Robert to move to the next agenda. We appreciate your presence.
Yes, sorry, but the audience is requesting that. As you read, please give us your contact.
Okay, my telephone number
Yes.
0772 383 111. 772 383 111. Always online. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robert. We appreciate it. Yes, as he leaves the conference area, we wish to receive other questions for other panelists.
Please, let's give a round of applause to Dana Arashi. So we are open now to any questions.
This question,
Hello? Yes, we are first going to take the first 5 questions. 1, 2, 3 at the corner, 4 with David, then the 5th one. Me, eh? Okay, I'm the 5th. Then we shall take another 5.
Thank you very much, moderator, and a very big thanks to our panelists of the day and for the contributions that you have shared with us. My name is Stephen Birungi. I work with Caritas Poto Ewasa as a WASH specialist. Mine is not a question per se, but a little comment that could also rhyme into what the panelists have been discussing. And the focus of what I would like to lay on the table is on prevention of financial or resource hemorrhage. And I think that one of the things that have hindered us from taking the next steps in terms of transforming into the cash economy has been the hemorrhage in terms of resources that we have, especially at household level. And the resources we are looking at are, of course, the money, the human resource, the materials, maybe a little bit about the materials today, but also the time. So one of the things that has eroded a lot of resources and caused hemorrhage is health. A poor household does not move towards a cash economy. And because of ill health, which according to research, most of the diseases that are affecting the households are communicable diseases. And 90% of the communicable diseases are actually wash related. And to prevent those, you can only do simple, doable actions to transform all those. And if you transform those, people get good health, they access safely managed sanitation. Right now, you'll agree with me, my fellow social workers, that if you walked into the communities, a household that does not have a toilet is actually one of the poorest households. If you walked into a household and they either don't have any toilet or they have a very poor sanitation facility, that household is deemed to be very poor. Why? Because of the financial hemorrhage that comes in. They do work, all the money that comes in goes out through seeking for help. They will be a baby to treat, they themselves will be sick, they spend all that money. It also erodes time. The time that they would spend in productive work is actually spent on seeking treatment, making long queues at the healthcare facilities, and they lose a lot of time, which is a very key resource that can transform us into the cash economy. Then also the human resource is also lost through death. We find kids who would be very successful millionaires in the future, die at a very tender age. When an outbreak of cholera comes, you hear a lot of death that is happening to our very valuable human resource, and that curtails us from crossing into the cash economy. So why don't we think about the small doable actions, focus on improving water, sanitation, and hygiene at household level. And if we did that, the money, for example, coming through a MIOGA, PDM, would actually now be used to be saved, broaden the envelope, the resource envelope at household level, and then reinvested, and then people can cross over to the money or cash economy. And this is not only in here in Busoga. We happen to implement a WASH project recently in Busoga, North and Western region, and the plight or the situation of WASH at household level across all these regions is very dear. Many are still at the basic level and others. So I think that is also one of the things that I thought that could transform us into a cash economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We can make our questions a bit brief.
Yeah, sure. And direct your question to your particular panelist.
Thank you so much. My questions, two, are directed to the Greek officer and the intellectual in the house, doctor. On 26, we were privileged to visit some of the communities here in Busoga, particularly with Kidera. And I made two observations during that visit. One is that there are quite a lot of sugarcane plots along the road, but also in the gardens. And then two, there is a lot of land fragmentation among the households. So this leads me now to the two questions that I want to ask. One is that is sugarcane production really a viable venture in Busoga? And could it be the one that has contributed to the shift in Busoga? Because reading from the multi-dimensional poverty index census monograph report that was released, I think 2 days ago, 26, it places Busoga as the 5th richest region in Uganda among the 17. So is it the sugarcane that is bringing this? Is it really a viable thing that we can get into? And then two, on land fragmentation. Where we went, actually you would not even be able to tell whether you're now in another household, because this is a household, you just move behind that household, you get another household. Behind that household, you get another household. A lot of land fragmentation. Now, To the Greek officer and also the intellectual in the house, I'm aware that for between 2014 and 2024, Busoga has had a steady population growth of about 2.1%, which has taken you to about 4.4 million people in this inelastic land, as one of the panelists put. So what strategies can you suggest to the team here, especially to Caritas Ginger, on how best we can go and productivity among households? I beg to move.
Thank you.
Mine is general. We are talking about the youth, and in this regard, we are looking at the youth between the age of 15 to 24. According to 2024 statistics, they say around this age, we have about 7.3 million persons. And therefore, that presents a chance for investment and formation programs. So the question here is, what are we doing? Here we observe that within this age group, we are looking at these people who are yet to make decisions, who are yet to identify who they are, and whose values are not yet formed. And therefore, the challenges which they face is technological, as we are aware, because before we didn't have TikToks and other social medias. We have socio-economic transformation, that towns now are municipalities and municipalities are becoming cities. So where we used to call villages are now towns. They are also facing the challenge which we call sexual and reproductive health. Now, with all this, the indicators show, therefore, that we are having a lot of issues as regards to teenage pregnancies. And this young age group who are struggling as teen mothers and parents. We have these people who are graduates, but they don't have jobs. We have these people who are living in slums, who have lost hope. We have this same age group who are being abandoned by their spouses. Let me say, those who were engaged, but they have been abandoned by their husbands or boyfriends in relationship. So here we are looking at what can we do in order for us to transform. There are few things, because we say knowledge without value is almost, in most times, is incomplete. Awareness without mentorship is similarly dangerous. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Thank you. Am I understood?
Thank you so much. My name is David Adong. My question goes to the production officer and then our guardian of Code Aid. The question is, as Jinja local government, there are existing opportunities. For example, the micro irrigation fund that local governments benefit from. Is Jinja local government, that happens to be your office, a Greek office, is it benefiting from this micro irrigation fund? If so, how best can Caritas Jinja tap into that opportunity, given the fact that they are dealing with thousands of farmers who have constituted cooperatives and yet curtailed by the problem of climate change? How best can you enable Caritas Jinja to tap into that? The second question goes to Code Aid. First of all, I must appreciate in your submission, you clearly indicated that you're operating in Jinja, that is in Busoga Kamuli, which happens to be a jurisdictional area for Caritas Jinja. Aware of the CI principles of subsidiarity, how are you enabling Caritas Jinja to tap into the existing opportunities in Kode, because I was surprised you're already operating. I thought maybe you were passing through Ginger. What happened? Could it have been the capacity gaps? If so, the former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, once said, if you admire a student, buy for your wife a school uniform. Can we be able to buy for Caritas Ginger school uniforms so that we admire them, build their capacity to fulfill the principles of subsidiarity that we all subscribe into? I think this would be important in every diocese that you go to, that you capacitate those diocesan Caritas organizations or the national office to pass through the mantle so as to enable us to hold the basket of sustainability. Because tomorrow when God aid ceases, then we are dead. I beg to submit by saying, my neighbor once liked a lady with the bums, and then he bought for his wife that sponge, and all was well. I submit.
Thank you so much. So, thank you, David. Mine was the fourth question, and it goes to production apart from Code Opio, Code staff. It goes to all the panelists. Now, we talk of youth, and Mr. Stephen gave a statistics on youth populations. But we forget that these youth have structures. They have the leadership structures. How are we engaging in the production department? I know what Code is doing on the youth, that one I will not ask you about it. Doctor, and then in the cultural perspective. How are we engaging the youth leaders in ensuring that they are supportive in the initiatives that we usually pass to the youth? PDM, cultural initiatives. How are we engaging the youth leadership? I'm seeing they're a little bit left behind. Said they're supposed to be in front. Thank you. No, those are 4 questions. I just want to make 5. One person.
Thank you very much. Mine goes to all the panelists. And as we engage in this discussion and debate, someone would be so inquisitive to find out exactly what is the problem in Busoga. Because okay, all of you were touching, but in bits. As we look forward to get the solutions for Busoga, can we first find out what is that critical problem of Busoga that we want to address? And when you go to the production department and the government entities, this country has been zoned. What is our best enterprise as Busoga? Is it sugarcane? We are talking about the youth. The youth of today, like we see, we are no longer in that era where everybody would wake up and go to the garden. We are in the they call them what? Gen Zs. But as we plan our enterprises, as we plan our implementation, at what corner do we bring in this youth? Because I imagine all is not lost. If the youth are in for these phones and WhatsApps and TikToks, how do we hinge them in the production line so that we tap into their technical capacities in terms of ICT? I think that is what we should be discussing here as Busoga. As Busoga, like when you move everywhere, the sugarcane is up to the doorstep. So now, what do we want to do as the stakeholders in Busoga? We tried this question sometime And it was a very complex situation. The land has already been leased out. And this sugar cane, it doesn't belong to these farmers. And we are telling these farmers, let's go into a money economy. How do we get there as farmers? Now I'm speaking as a farmer. How do I get into the money economy? What are these enterprises that you can advise us as the DPMO or the production department? What are these enterprises that we can engage in? Thank you.
Yes, over to you, the panelists.
If we shall have the panelists answer the different questions, I think we shall start with the production officer and we shall follow.
Thank you very much for those wonderful questions. I'll try to be a bit brief. Is sugar cane a viable venture? I think we are all aware the president of Uganda at one time took up the issue of sugar cane, and actually they made some recommendations to that effect. The challenge with sugar cane has been, especially people have very little land. They usually decide to rent it out at very small premiums, usually between 4 to 6 years. So it has a long gestation period, because between around usually about 1.5 years. So this has actually predisposed our farmers and population to starvation because they don't have food. So as a regulation, I think all local councils are supposed to verify that before we sign any document relating to sugarcane production, there must be land that is actually set aside for food, so that our population does not suffer in that aspect. So in regards to as any other business, we always say we do proper enterprise selection. Your priority is not mine. We have independent minds and people have reasons as to why. However, now that brings the issue of mindset change. That's why under PDM, we have the component of community mobilization and mindset change, so that people, we do what we call cost-benefit analysis. We try to show you, okay, sugarcane can bring 3 million from an acre in 2 years. Maybe now the coffee and the cocoa can be able to give you maybe 16. So that now you can be able to make informed decisions. We are not yet there. It is still a work in progress. Land fragmentation, still those are social cultural norms. And you know, the moment you give me my land, you cannot tell me, especially we are siblings, that we shall be working together. Certain things are beyond us. What can we do about that still? Can we engage in these profitable enterprises, what we call the high value crops? For example, tomatoes, if you've got the resources to engage in such enterprises. Then productivity. Now we look at production per unit area. Let's not look at acreage. Sometimes someone who has just a quarter of an acre can end up actually getting a lot more than someone who has 10 acres. Let's look at productivity. Then we can also have engagement along the value chains. You see, if you cannot engage in production, does not mean you cannot go into marketing. You see, it does not mean you cannot go into bulking. So let us be broad-minded. We advocate for our farmers and train them to take the easiest avenue you can take, given the circumstances. The U-Gift, that is micro-scale irrigation. Unfortunately, it was a 3-year program and now it has ended. But some of the challenges were people could not pay co-fund. It was for smallholder farmers, but people ended up paying a co-fund of about 4 to 5 million. And people in the end did not benefit. So we ended up looking into the bracket of those who are not initially intended for the program. Because someone in the village to part with 4 million shillings, you cannot call that one a poor man's program for the smallholder farmers. So we are trying to engage government to get us a better program. So how are they engaging the youth leaders? How are we engaging them? You are aware that at least at all lower local government structures, the local councils, at least we have those youth representatives. So under the programs that we do, we have during selection of beneficiaries, they are part of those meetings, when we are doing planning meetings, then reporting and follow-up to see how we are progressing. These leaders are always there, they are always part of the teams, just to make sure that they can follow up and bring their voices to be heard. Then as per zoning, I think I talked about the enterprises. You know, when we talk of Busoga, we tend to generalize. But we have what they call microclimates. Because, for example, the kind of climate we have here, you cannot compare with the kind of climate that is in Kaliro. You see? So now the issue of having a blanket cover is a bit challenging. That's why we are trying to encourage narrow. You see, like Nakavango, they've always come and had done trials for varieties before they are approved. So we are requesting, can they do that at each in every district? Because as much as we view ourselves as the same, we are a bit unique in our seemingly same circumstances and situations. I think how do we engage the youth on TikTok? That one we are still trying to explore. I think we cannot do, it's not business as usual. We are used to traditional extension, you do trainings, and most farmers don't want to come and the youth. So, you know, we need the gadgets. Actually, as we talk about mindset, we are not exempted from that. Even us, we need those trainings, because you talk about TikTok, some people don't know how to shoot those good videos. We need the skilling and the knowledge. So we also acknowledge there is a gap, and I think we are working on that to see how we can get there. Very soon you will start seeing us also on TikTok, giving information to people. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Dr. Albert, submit first.
My apologies, but I thank you so much. Incidentally, you asked very beautiful questions, and that's why I was telling you that it would be prudent if we had submitted and then you asked once, because then each one would probably pour the material like they say, you know, respectively. But the sugarcane question, let me begin with this. I wrote an article some time ago on the sugarcane question. It went viral, and I was called and threatened. So I'm asking myself, the gentleman who's asking me to explore the sugarcane question, have you been bought or something else? Of course I'm joking. But I'm telling you the reality. I have an article, I forwarded it to him, by the way. But you can share. It went viral in terms of the manufactured illusion of benevolence, the idea of sugar cartels that control the sugar industry. You'll be amazed to see what is inside the sugar cartel industry and why Busoga remains to be what it is today, impoverished, poor, in spite of certain sugar bourgeoisies building, riding in limousines and hiring planes left, right, and center, and living in bungalows. But you just go about and see what is happening in Ichikuku or in the other place near those individuals. Then you will be to say, what is the problem? So who's doing the work and who is eating what? And is eating what to support who? It went viral. I was threatened by certain individuals who control the sugar industry. But I've sent it to him. If you have WhatsApp, he will send it to you. I will just end there. Next time you invite me, I will pour everything out so that you know exactly who does what. Okay, that is extremely important for me to point out. Number two, let me just read you something very small in light of the discussion that I prepared for you. And then you will tell me whether you are happy or unhappy or about to get happy in light of the challenges. By the way, I'm thankful to the system here because of what you're doing. Not very many church institutions engage in the academics, you know, so it is important. I was very happy to learn that my esteemed brother is actually doing a PhD. And very, very incredible, wonderful news. That tells me a lot where we are coming from. And therefore, and also the gentleman there who was seated next to you, remember, he was challenging us to write, to publish. So I am donating this paper, perhaps as the first paper for you to publish. And if you don't publish, it will be up to you. Me, I'm giving it to you. You take it to your editors, they publish it, they look through, and this is what I prepared for you. And my brother Tenua had actually gone through a little bit of it, and he said, okay, there's some food for thought here. So I was looking for the dynamics here that inform what we are dealing with today in terms of the institutional failure that is promoted by Acemoglu Robinson diagnosis in terms of what he says, but also the question of the land tenure fragmentation in the absence of tilting, and then the market failures. By the way, there's a question that asked the other side, what is Busoga's problem? And I think it was the lady there. And then the aspect of financial exclusion and the credit virtue. And of course, my brother talked about climate vulnerability and environmental degradation. And all those I captured here. But also the Catholic teaching as a framework for transformation. The Catholic teaching as a framework for transformation. In terms of what Benedict the 16th Caritas of Veritate in 2009 said, published in the aftermath of the global financial crisis. Then you look at Pope Leo the 13th return to Novera, and then Pius the 11th Contrastrimo in terms of what they say in light of that. So you may want to impress yourself with these articles, particularly in light of the discussion that you propounded for me here today. So fundamentally, when you're talking about the question of Busoga, perhaps it can be summarized in 3 takeaways. And I also came with a book, by the way. It is a book written 100 years ago. You can imagine, this book is 100 years old. It is older than all of you here. This one. It was written by Speke Courts, the first black mayor in East Africa, and the former mayor, first black mayor of Jinja City, Speke Courts, 100-year-old book. Some of you know Lubogo Road out there. It's named after him. So I'm going to donate it to the chief steward of Caritas Jinja. I don't know if he's here, so I can hand it over to him as well, so that he can brush with this information. My brother and esteemed friend, I would like you to take the liberty of reading this book. It's 100-year-old. By the way, I think chapter 26 or page 190 talks about the food in Busoga, the food question, the Busoga question. I'm told last time I was the Chalazinga. He told us to hand it to hold it like this so that the people see. And then they take the pictures. I don't see the picture people here. So Caritas, they told you to publish. The newspaper are not here. These are things that will promote your library so that you know that this is important. So I see one of the, okay, maybe my friend here is doing the thing. So on behalf of myself and on behalf of the academia, particularly those from Busoga, on behalf of Speke Courts, who happens to be my grandfather, by the way, I take the liberty of handing over this book to you, my esteemed friend and brother, on behalf of Caritas Jinja. Be blessed, and like the word of God was saying, be transformed by the renewing of your what? Of your mind. Very, very important. Study the word, make yourself approved, the workman, rightly dividing the word of what? The word of truth. Busoga's problem. You know that song they say? I'm sure Lydia knows it. Whether Lydia and me were friends long time ago, about 20 years ago. She couldn't even recognize me. I said, me, I know you. Wonderful lady. And I'm incredibly, wonderfully blessed because I see what God has transformed her into. Super, super wonderful work. Do you know that song? Twegaite tulwani so wavu no butamana. You know that song? Yes. The old people here know it. The young ones just know ba ba ba. Okay? You know the ba ba ba, whatever those songs. Those songs, But those days when we were young, they used to sing those songs to us. Think about that. Oh man, that's good. Meaning, let us fight together, fight poverty, ignorance, and what? And disease. Busoga's problem in terms of that can be narrated, can be summarized in terms of those concepts. But also particularly in light of the inability to have what we call a value chain market. Yeah, we may produce, but we don't have a value chain market. We produce, and then they rot in the village or on the stores of the market, and that is it. We don't have accessible credit facilities that can be enhanced by the ordinary people. You know, what they ask a doctor in economics is what they will ask for my little young brother in Uyuge Gadumiri, who has never gone to school as a security. So we are saying, can we make that appropriate to those different levels? Yes, so credit facilities, the aspect of a chain value market that is readable, and the aspect of cooperative societies perhaps, so that those can help people to get these things. And I'm telling you, if we can do that, you need to look at my article when I compared Busoga to Babloa. Babloa is a certain city in Europe. But Busoga is richer than Babloa. You can imagine, a country, by the way, small country there, is richer than Babloa in terms of the GDP, in terms of what it can get. And I was making that comparative analysis. So we have a lot that we can do. But obviously, I will keep reminding you of your friend, that president of America, who said, ask not what you can do for what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. But in conclusion, Ralph Waldo Emerson, in a lecture back in '84, said, if a man can build a better house or make a better mousetrap than their neighbor, even if they build the house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to their door. What does that mean? It means whatever task that lays in your hand, like Bishop Amosi used to teach us, do your job so well, okay? Like Dr. King used to say, my friend talked about Dr. King, do your job so well that the dead, the living, and the unborn cannot do it any better. I thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I want to listen from Madam Lydia. Just answer one or two questions that were directed to you, then we shall conclude with Mr. Lincoln to answer the questions that were directed to him. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have two questions to talk about. The first one was how we have engaged the youth. As Cultural Research Center, we have engaged the youth through schools. We have a program called Heritage Education Program. This is a program that engages all youth regardless of where they come from. Because every child has a culture and comes from a certain community. So we engage them by showing them how they can explore their heritage to steer development in their different communities. Then the second one, we are promoting the opening up of Lusoga language clubs in secondary schools. You know that now Lusoga is now examinable. Cultural Research Center has been at the forefront of ensuring that we promote the language, because the language is the conveyor belt of any kind of aspect any particular community is to pursue. You must understand your language before you can understand other issues. So we have been at the forefront of spearheading this, and the language is examined at Senior 4 and Senior 6, and we are promoting the opening up of Lusoga clubs, not only to talk about the language, but also to use those clubs to pass on information to these young people. Another question was, what is Busoga's problem? Our professor and the other colleagues have talked about this, but I'll make an addition of two. Number one, disunity. We need to unite. Here I'm talking about the households. We heard about land fragmentation. Let us encourage people to work together. In Busoga, land is hereditary. And like the Bible says, a good person leaves wealth with his grandchildren. Under this, when the household head dies, then land is divided. Land is divided among children, among grandchildren. And this has been detrimental in the Busoga. That's why our production officer mentioned that people have small lands. We think they have land, but actually they don't have. This unity has been a key problem, which we need to work at, so that families can work together. in case you want to have cultivation at a large scale, then you don't need to divide the land. You need to work as a family in order to, to benefit from whatever you'll be producing, starting at the household level. Then, the second one, in addition to this unity, you find that people are fearing to invest in their own places. I don't know how I can say this. There is this science, some belief in witchcraft. We are Christians, but some of these things are there. Some people fear to invest in their own homes of origin because of this. So we need the mindset change. Mindset. We go elsewhere for patrol where we do what? We build our bungalows when actually in Kadumile there is nothing. You see? So we need to change our mindset. If we could design more projects ensuring that we tackle mindset change. It is something that takes long, but we can be there. And lastly, I would like to talk about what Pope Francis of Happy Memories said. Synodality. Working without leaving anyone behind. As development workers, we are working within the designed global goals. And one of their mottos also falls in line with what Pope Francis said. Let us be inclusive. That is when we shall move. You find in our community, someone is throwing away food, another person is hungry, You are developing at the expense of your neighbor. After some time, you will claim your neighbor is a witch or is a thief, just because of, that. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Madam Lydia. That we would like to have the last word from Mr. Lincoln.
Yes, thanks a lot. Colleagues have already discussed a lot, but just to give some few highlights. For example, on the problem of land fragmentation, we all know this is a very big problem. But at the end, I think the issue of starting with what you have is very important. Because for us to wait until the issues of sugarcane, until the issues of land fragmentation is resolved, it will take a while. But, like I said, if you have half an acre, I think with the right information, with the right knowledge, you can use it for something very profitable. There is a model that we are promoting, it is called participatory integrated planning, whereby you start with what somebody is having, the asset that somebody is having, and then you walk through how the person can use the resources. So I'm not saying the issue of land fragmentation, the sugarcane is not very serious issue, but then up to the time when it is resolved, we don't know. So people need to start from somewhere. Recently, we started training youth from Masese in fish farming. And if you look at the amount of water, Lake Victoria, the people who are doing cage farming, they are not utilizing even 0.0% of the total space. And then a cage is like where we are, and somebody can get over 20 million. So I think these are resources that are sitting within ourselves. Another one is the government program. I think a lot of questions has been raised to the DPO, but for PDM in organized, you need to be organized. We talk about coming together. You need to be registered. A minimal requirement is you need to be registered. There's a reason behind. Because if you are giving money to somebody who has not tried, you're even making the situation worse. Before you know it, the money for PDM is being used as a mortgage for, as an installment for a motorcycle. So I think coming together is the most important, like Lydia said, this unity. We have a program which is looking at the land tenure security in Kamuli and Muyende. And one of the key aspects is the land needs to be registered as a family asset. That's why the mindset change, ensuring that people work as a family is very important. They register that land as a family asset. 2, joint ownership of land, a man and a woman. Because at the end, some land has been registered maybe by a man, a woman. Still, the land dispute will continue. But if the two are owning the land, then you can use it for the right purpose. The project is subsidizing, I would say, 90%. So if you have family, and I think the church can play a bigger role on mobilization, mindset change, and in the process we have land dispute. But as you may know, the alternative dispute resolution has been championed as the best, other than the legal aspect of it. So I see here the church playing a bigger role. So like I said, the project is subsidizing up to 90% of the land. And when you own that, when you get that certificate of customary ownership, you have information in the land information system. Later, if you want, you can transform it into Milo. So I think as a church, in addition to projects that can be done directly, the transformation of people's money is very important. There was a question about the youth. As we work in agribusiness, they say your point of intervention cannot be the point of impact. For example, for somebody to succeed in agribusiness as a youth, they need to have the life skill. Somebody need to know how to take care of themselves. We know situations whereby a youth start earning maybe 1 to 3 million, either 2, 3 women. That will be sure the person will not grow. So in the skilling, in the agribusiness, we do what we call an integration, where we have the life skill, we have more information on sexual rights, we have information on how you can work together, how you can solve a problem, and then how you can network. We have quite a number of private sector actors within the community, and the youth can tap a lot, free of charge. So I think these are some of the key issues that we need to really work together. Last but not least, as far as our model is concerned, like I said, we embrace the locally led development. That means we facilitate the process, and then we work together to ensure that what are some of the system issues that need to be put in place for you or for the partner to work and support community development. So I think we are open for discussion, and these are some of the issues that we'll be discussing together. But all in all, the opportunities are endless. Just to give an example in fish farming, the major driver is feeds. But we have a farmer in Buikwe who is doing fish farming in cages without feeding. The difference is that if you feed, it is up to 7 months you start, 7, 8 months you start investing. For him, he's not feeding, and he's adding another 2 months to start investing. He will already cut a lot of cost. So I think these are some of the innovations that amidst us that the youth need to be supported to tap. And as we talk now, we have youth from Namwenda who is doing their placement in Buikwe with the same farmer. And the youth are really very excited. Somebody would say, I was staying near water, but I didn't know that I can make a living from fish farming. Because now, if you have 1 acre of land, it is subdivided, but we are still waiting to tap opportunity from that 1 acre of land. It may not happen. So I think let's work together to see all the available opportunities within us. I don't like example, but I think all of us know Burkina Faso that it is totally dry. But are you aware it is the one feed in Ghana with the tomatoes? Last week, the president said no more export of tomatoes to Ghana, and Ghana and Nigeria are crying. And people are saying, you are crying for tomatoes from Burkina Faso, which is 99% dry, with all your opportunities here. So I think problem, yes, we can solve those bigger problems, but let us start with what is available to support our young people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lincoln, for those answers and the punting shots. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend fathers, the sisters, the delegates, it's the time to close the symposium. Thank you so much for your active participation and engagement. I know we have much more. We just have a few remarks. We would like to invite the National Director to give a vote of appreciation to the panelists. And after the National Director, we shall have the National Director and the Director Caritas Ginger present just a token of appreciation to our dear panelists. Thank you.
Our panelists and dear delegates, when Caritas Ginger proposed to us that they wanted to do a symposium, of course, together with the panel discussion, we didn't know what to expect, because it is the first of its kind that we have seen in Ginger. And we want to congratulate you so much for organizing a professional symposium and a very good panel discussion. Very professional. You see how they have set the tables. Where did you learn these things from? I love it. It is very good. He went to the Eclipse and watched some videos there. At the same time, thank you for selecting the right people. You know, sometimes we choose people, but we don't choose the right ones. This time around, I see the right people in the room who have experience, who have expertise, and who have the knowledge that we all need. Dear members, also thank you for being attentive. Maybe a few dozed off, but I think most of us were very alert and really, even if it is hot, but we are very alert, and the kind of questions that you are asking also show the level of knowledge that you have in your field. I just want to add a few things to this, to the issues, because this discussion should spark off many more discussions. And in your dioceses, go back and do the same. Don't wait now for another one. We would like to see a dialogue in Lira of this kind. I always challenge the priests. We have one problem, you know, like every category of people has its own problem. Eh? When you meet the border people, they have one problem. And you always say border people were born by the same mother. When you meet the taxi drivers, the same. We also have our problem. Our problem is this one. Should I say it? The problem is this. Instead of calling you to discuss with you and reach an agreement, we wait for you at the pulpit. Even though you are Catholics or not Catholics, then we hammer you properly, and then we separate as enemies. And I think that's where we have failed to get in touch with the government and the other institutions to sit at the round table and even make a clear decisions and pathways of what we can do. But I think we can learn from this that at the sub-county levels, the parish priest can sit with the sub-county chief and do such a discussion and reach certain conclusions. And the church will continue to collaborate well with the government. At the diocesan level, we can sit with the districts. If you have 7, how many do you have here? Your districts, 11 districts. Invite all of them, engage in such a talk, a candid talk. Come up with some resolutions and start following those resolutions. At our national level, also, I'm on a very, very serious struggle. Each project goes as a project to discuss with the parliament. Because a certain project has funded an activity. It should not be like that. It should be the national level, because we are with the bishops. We invite all the bishops, those who can afford to join, and others, and then we engage the parliament. Then that will be the voice of the church. If we go alone, then we shall not succeed. And that is learning from this discussion that we have had. Issues that need to be looked at keenly. I liked those statistics that came out on the 26th, naming putting ginger at number 5 in Busoga, in being GDP and being well. But if we went deeper, it is actually 1 or 2 people. It is not the whole of Busoga, and that is the biggest problem we have. How can we go deeper, analyze this, dismantle it to the best unity, and we see what is our contribution as individuals to this GDP that is being tagged on us. You know, what is our contribution? It is the same challenge I give to us. You know, we have a target of producing at least 20 million bags of coffee at the international, you know. Of those 20 million bags of coffee, how much you as an individual, but also how much is each parish or each diocese contributing? So we should run out from talking to people. We study these numbers without going to what our contribution at the smallest unit is. And that should help us to make a quotas. And we say, Kasanaruero, we need you to at least produce 30 bags of coffee. Ginger, 20 bags of coffee. Then we can say at the end of the day, when we are also meeting our bosses, we can say, as Caritas in Uganda, we have been able to contribute 220 bags of coffee to the GDP of Uganda, I mean to the national quota. I think that one, we can also pick it up. Somebody questioned about taxation, but for me, I want to ask you also us to think about how we can save the government from the greed. Okay? They are greedy that they are now competing with us in buying from us and investing, not for us, for themselves. How do we save the government from that? I come from Kapeka. That is my home area. And the way it is done, if there is a land issue, then somebody comes in, and then the government comes in and says, okay, now to save you from the problem, the government has bought this land, and you wait, we shall decide what to do with you. Just keep on staying there. Now, how can you really get the guts to work on that land when you have been bought off and you know you have been bought off by your own government? I went to South Africa, and what is in South Africa will come here. Those industries, we praise the South Africans, but they are very, very poor. Maybe for you, when you go to Johannesburg and enjoy, you rub shoulders with the Bazungu. But you need to go to the real community. Those people were left with houses bigger, like as small as this, not even that other side. This tent here, plus then they cut it into 4 rooms. One is the sitting room, another one is the bedroom. And then we visited their farms. They told us, come and visit our farms. The small farmers, they grow potatoes. Like you see that where there are stones there, that's where they grow potatoes. And so we were going to tour the farms of the small-scale farmers on the veranda. On the veranda. And when the oranges are not there for them to go to harvest for some money, they stay there. The crime rates are very high. They drink so much. You know? I don't think Busoga, when we say Busoga, they are drinking it, they are getting jigazi, and all those things were attached to Busoga. It is industrialization, poorly planned industrialization. And I think our government has to be advised to benchmark correctly. The other aspect, so government competing with its people in investments, I think it's Adam Smith that talks about it. That if you say government competing to buy from its people, to invest for itself, then there is a problem, a big one. Then the other aspect is, in the documents we have, the PDMs, not the PDMs, the UNDPs, the Vision 2040, we are talking about production, industrialization, and we have even moved away. We first said we are going to middle class income, middle income. Now we have divided even the middle income into this semi-middle income, and then we are going to, now later we shall go there correctly. So I want to wonder, the challenge is, and the PDM is a good model, which was started in a very good way, or a terrible way. But the core issue here is governance at the lower level. Those village people, our LCs, apart from running for votes, what else can they do for us? They have never been trained. Never. In other countries, our LCs are the ones who sit and plan for the village. But ours, they just open up events and say, they don't have even a pistol or a small thing. They say, peace is okay, you know, I've opened the event. Then after they walk away. Very few LCs even participate in development works because they are not capacitated. So it's unfortunate that I spoke after he has left. I wanted to ask him and all of us who are able to rub shoulders with the powers that be, that can we reshape these programs? First, we begin with strengthening the governance structures down at the village with the farmers. How is the coordination? How are these things regulated? You know, how is all that done? Because a lot of people, if we say we go produce, how much money have we put in production? Dear Caritas members. I was in South Africa and they asked me a question. How are you satisfied with the work you do? Then they asked me, are people changing? That last question I failed to answer. Because for the 14 years I had worked for Caritas, when I went there, I was seeing the same people not changing. But attending meetings, attending conferences, going to every workshop, but they are not changing. So I want to end there by saying that then to our this one DPO. I had a challenge with a certain DPO, and I'm hopeful that it is not your challenge also. Every time we call the DPO, the district officials, to come to be with us as we continue, because they say, you have no right to do this work, or you are supplementing the work of the government. Is that not what we do? Yes. Now, if we are supplementing the work of the government, and the government has hired you to do your work, why do we invite you and then you ask for the last sentence? Do you know the last sentence? This person would never come, or even send a representative, until you have said that transport and of this and an allowance of this will be available. If that person never read that last sentence, and when we sent our staff there, they will ask them openly. So we have gone so that we ask so openly now. What is the last sentence? Ready for me this later. Ready for me this later. So we are no longer shy. For us, we beg to help the poor. We invite you as the owners to say what you have to say on behalf of the government. And you want a last sentence. And that really hits us hard in our work. And at all levels. So sometimes we wonder, should we invite them? Shouldn't we invite them? But how can we be without them? We should, those questions linger in our organizations. The church is not going to close. It will never. Other things are going to close. But I believe two things will not close: the church and the government. But even the government will close. But the church, because it is eternal, it will never close until God has come back. Jesus has to first come back for us to close. So I think don't run away from us. We are yours. And also let us work together very much. And I want us to also, from this discussion, let us not just come out and say, that people talked, oh, the other man was talking well, and this lady, you can imagine how she said it's synodality. Even she knows it. That's not enough. Let's pick two recommendations that we are going to put in our document. From them, two recommendations, and then we shall say, this thing came out very well. And we conclude on it. For me, as myself, I had a mindset change as a major theme. As a major theme. I had land fragmentation as another major theme. And of course, unity as another major theme. But you also had the themes. Maybe if we pull out those themes, later we can do what? We can come up with one recommendation that we really want to address as Caritas Uganda and Caritas Jinja, in partnership with the government, the cultural leaders, and other experts that have been here on this panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our National Director, for that award of appreciation. We just have a simple token, and it will be extended by the Director, Caritas Jinja, in case the Director of Photographer and Videographer is around. We just want to invite you to help in the photography. So,
meanwhile, I invite Father Maria to come with an energizer which ushers us into the Parks Insurance talk.
Thank you so much. Maybe for those who joined in late, from our panel, we've had the person who was there was Mr. Robert Kanusu, the RCC of Hoimaste. We have Madame Lydia Naisikwe from the Cultural Research Center. She's a development expert. We have Dr. Isaac Christopher Lubogo, a well-established researcher who has published over 70 papers, a lecturer in various universities, in different universities. We have Mr. Lincoln Opio, Programs Manager from CODAID, Uganda. And we have Mr. Kagwa Safan from the Office of the District Production Officer. We thank you, and here the token of appreciation goes to Mr. Kagwa. Yes, Mr. Dr. Christopher Isaac Go. Yes, this goes to Madam Lydia. Yes, Mr. Appeal. And this goes to the RCC, and it will be received by Dr. Isaac Christopher Logo on his behalf. Extend our sincere appreciation. Other than that, I've been Joseph Michael Tenywa, your moderator for this session. I know it has taken slightly longer, but the questions were quite pertinent. Thank you so much, our dear panelists. I pass it over to Parks Insurance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm also waiting for my part. Members, let's be upstanding. It's good to stand up. Let's be upstanding, stretch a bit, lift up your leg up, the one on the right, lift up your leg, leave it there. Please lift up your leg, please lift up your leg, leave it there. Okay, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's change the other one. Lift up slightly higher. Yes, so there. Smile, keep smiling. Check on your neighbor and speak the right thing. Let's count. 1.
Make sure you edit that.
All right, ready? I'm not seeing you. Yeah, lift up. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, so please get some space. Get some space. Get some space. Yes. Now we are in Caritas Ginger. Yes, hey, Father Lusan, I'm not seeing you. Yes, I'd like you to write Caritas Ginger with your head. And you are writing in capital letters. We start with C. Yes.
Ginger is
Then we write A, capital letter.
Ginger with C.
Then we write R. This let's do what we mean. I is there. Then T, up, and then we write A, capital. And then we write S. We write ginger. There is G there. Then there is I. There is L. And then there is J. Then A. Are we there? Yes. Okay, hand on your waist. Let's write with our bounce. You can that ginger with our bounce. We go with C. Then we write A. And this is in there, then write I. He is there.
Where's the dot?
Then we shall put the A, capital. Then the S. J is somewhere there. Then I.
Is it the mind which is writing?
Then we write N. Then J is there. And then there is A. Then we shall put a question mark. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Back to Mr. Charles, moderator.
Yes, thank you so much, National Director Dennis. At this moment, we have our visitors from Parks Insurance. First of all, we went beyond our timing, and we request that we give them 15 minutes. 15 minutes to showcase what they have for us.
Okay, let me just.
And we beg that you respect the time because we are very serious program. We are going out.
Hello. Hello. Can I have your attention, please? I'm going to write on the protocol already observed.
Yes.
I understand you're already tired, and insurance is the last thing you want to talk about or think about. But guess what? Like the National Director talked about mindset change. Me, it is a theme that I've picked, mindset change. And we want to change your mind about insurance. I believe everyone has their conceptions and myths about insurance, but guess what? With Pax Insurance, as the Catholic organization, the misconceptions are about to get done. Timothy is my name. I serve at Pax Insurance. It's a Catholic organization, and Caritas happens to be one of our clients. I would want the moderator to kindly time us 15 minutes. We do not want to waste your time, and the 15 minutes are going to be conversational and very quick. We are going to be spot on. I think I've already used 2. In the next 3, I want to tell you about what Pax Insurance basically does and why we have a banner behind that is talking about poultry, agriculture, and crop insurance. Dear delegates, Pax Insurance is your own because it is a Catholic organization. All the dioceses in Uganda subscribe to Pax Insurance because it is a church. It is a church organization, and it is a sister company to Centenary Bank. So today we are not going to talk about the normal insurance that everyone knows, but rather we want to interest you with something we call agriculture insurance. I think you've had enough of comprehensive, your property and stuff, but the mindset change we want to come to talk to you about is agriculture insurance. And we are asking you, just give us 10 minutes of your time. Just be attentive. You're going to love this conversation, and guess what? We are going to stay behind as you go for the next program so that you can ask us questions about agriculture insurance. Samson, kindly first sit a bit so that we deliver the message, then you can serve out the literature later. Thank you. Allow me call upon Alan. You're going to ask, why am I calling another person to talk about insurance? Yes, I also work with insurance. Now, the government set up what we call a consortium. Because agriculture is so risky, if I decide to take it up as Pax Insurance, trust me, the shareholder equity will be low. I will close in 1 day because the claims all over the entire country or the disaster along the entire country is so huge. Imagine if it was only Pax Insurance taking insurance for the eastern region that is in Bududa, and it has landslides and floods. The claims or the payments I would make to farmers would be close to over to 20 billion, meaning I'll wipe away the working capital of the company. So what we decided to do, we created what we call a consortium.
Now the consortium is the one that, in insurance language you call it underwrite, is the one that takes on the risk. As we are the face, they are behind. So it is the reason why you're seeing agriculture consortium. We are the face, you talk to us about it, then we place it with them. It is not complicated at all, but rather it is like having an intermediary to push for the numbers, then they take the risk in layman's language. So allow me introduce Alan to take you through in just 10 minutes, because I believe I've used 5 so far. In 10 minutes, we'll talk about whatever you're seeing behind and what the Busoga region is invested in, that is sugarcane. And I believe every farmer wants to know, how am I protecting my investment? And is the right guy to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Timothy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alan Rovongoya. I work with the Consortium. At the end of I'll leave 2 minutes for our team leaders in the Busoga sub-region to say hi to you. So I'm going to use 8. Then the team leaders from Parks Insurance, and Agro Consortium, they will just have 1 minute each to talk to you. So we are going to talk about, I like the catchy word of protection of what matters most. So we've been discussing agriculture, and as farmers, how do we protect our energies? How do we protect our investments? So how many of us here are farmers in the audience? All of us, exactly. So we are going to have a 1 minute practical computation, because I'm just going straight to it, on how we are able to protect what matters. And what matters is our garden, is our livestock, is our poultry farm, is our fish ponds, is whatever we are, our sugarcane plantations. What matters most is what we're going to protect. So we are going to start for this season. What are we going to do? So all of us, we have notebooks. Just write down what you're going to farm this season and how you're going to protect it. So we're going to start with a basic. What are you going to do this season? Write it down. Alan, I'm going to do tobacco. I'm going to do sugarcane. I'm going to do peanuts. I'm going to do sweet potatoes. I'm going to do, just write down. Write down, we're going to use half an acre or an acre as a sample farm. So what is your first cost of production? What is your first cost of production? Land clearing. How much are you going to spend to that? Just put that amount. Just put that amount. The second one is land preparation, first and second plowing. How much do you think you're going to spend in that amount of money? Then after, quality seed. How much are you going to buy the seed you're going to do? As we're going to do horticulture, what variety are you going to do and how much are you going to spend to eat? After that, planting, nursery bed preparation. How much are you going to spend on that as a farmer? After that, transplanting, etc. How much are you going to spend on that? So, weeding costs. How much are you going to spend on that? After that, we are going to have fertilizers and pesticide management. How much are you going to spend on that? Lastly, we are going to put others, transport, food, miscellaneous. How much do you think you're going to spend on that? So, that is your investment in your garden as a farmer. That is your investment. So in total, how much is your average? That is your personal experience as a farmer. So we're going to assume our average investment is about 600,000. That's how funny, that's how good agriculture is. When I say my figures, there's always grumbling. But we have individual experiences, not so? So that's why I said everybody write down your own. So for me, while I was computing, I had 600,000. Why? I'm not going to hire land. I'm going to do the farming myself. I'm only buying seeds, fertilizers, and that's it. Whereas there's somebody who is going to do everything with money because he has another job and farming is also another job. So he cannot go physically to participate, but he's using money. Now, what happens when you've been hit by a drought? When you've been hit by a flooding, hailstorm, excessive rainfall, pests and diseases, all those challenges we face as farmers, what happens to our investment? what happens? The audience, what happens?
You lose it all.
You lose. Not so? You have lost your investment. So what does that mean? That if I was a youth and through Caritas, you have encouraged me to join farming, I got some money from wherever I got it, invested it in agriculture, not so? And I was hit by a drought, I'm not coming back to agriculture. Do you all agree? Yes. There are high chances that I'm going to look for something less risky. But did you know that there was this program called the Uganda Agriculture Insurance Scheme? It was set up in 2016. To date, it encourages farmers to insure themselves, that in case you've been hit by those eventualities we've just talked about, the drought, excessive rainfall, hailstorm, windstorms, pests and diseases, malicious damage, fires, now for the birds, diseases, you know, accidents, for the fish, poisoning, for the cattle, there are very many diseases, mastitis, etc. You lose your animal which has been giving you 35 liters of milk, it dies. What? Foot and mouth, very many challenges. Did you know that you can get an insurance package for yourself? So that in case anything happens to your investment, insurance is able to compensate you. You get me? Now, assuming, based on your computations, can you just apply a 5% on your investment? 5%. So me who did 600,000, what's 5% of 600,000? 30,000. Not so? An insurer is requesting you to pay 30,000 to protect that investment before you venture into agriculture. Per season for seasonal crops, per annum for things that are annual. Livestock, poultry, fish, coffee, plantations, just that. That in case those eventualities we talked about, for sugarcane farmers, fires, we shall compensate you what you lost. That's why we're here today. And what have we been doing? I just met somebody from Caritas. I was telling him, I left Nabila talk yesterday because of this symposium to come and attend. We have been moving across the country, encouraging farmers to register themselves, sign up, pay premium, that in case at the end of the season there are losses, they are compensated and they are able to move again. What are we trying to do? We are trying to build resilience, self-sustainability, that in an event there are losses, you're not going to cry. I always use an example of medical insurance, that we have WhatsApp groups we set aside, families contributing for medical bills. My father was sick for 4 years. By 6 months, somebody would even tell you, buy me come here, I'm a mineral guy. But for why isn't your father getting cured? And we keep contributing to you, not so? Same thing with your family. If you give, you're going to keep losing. You're either going to give up or just think it's the normal. But when you get an insurance cover, you get somebody to cry to when the losses happen. Not so? What other question they ask me? How long do you take? Or how do I join? So we are going to start with the how do you join. How do you join? You have to register yourself. We shall ask you a few questions. What's your name? Where is the location of your farm? Not your home. The location of your farm, not your home. Because for us, our interest is your farm, not your home. 3, we shall talk about the location. It means district, sub-county, parish, village. The other, what's your telephone number? We need to get in touch with you. Even when you are paying, we may even opt to pay on your telephone number. So we need a telephone number. What is your farm size? How much do you think you're going to do? What I just asked here. What are you going to do? Which crop are you going to do? What's your farm size? How much are you going to sell your expectation? So that you know the value. That if I've invested in 600,000, I expect about 1.2 million at the end of the season. So you can choose to protect your input, or you can protect your expectation as a farmer. So that in Uganda they say kagwake ketonye inofuna chenjaga. You have to get what you expected. or you need to protect what you invested in, regardless of the calamities that come with agriculture. When the season ends for seasonal farmers, we share a monitoring report because we monitor you, that based on the climatic conditions, your garden has suffered this extent and you're compensated. But for annual crops and other things, in case a loss happens, you notify us, we send an assessor who will assess the extent of loss and you're compensated. How long does this compensation take? That one, for the seasonal crops, 2 weeks. We should have shared results and paid all farmers. But for annual crops, you're the one who delays. One, you need to notify on time. Alan, my farm was hit by a fire. Send your assessor to see. If your animal has died, inform your vet to come and do a post-mortem. Help you fill the form. The cause of death was this, and the farmer has been trying to do this to treat, but eventually the animal died. Compensating. If you're doing fish, same thing. Notify us. But when you notify us on time, 2 weeks we are paid. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Alan.
So like I told you, we have people who run the show in Busoga, and I'm going to request Salongo to come and talk to you in Busoga.
Hello, thank you so much, Alan, for that presentation. George Mwambu is my name. I work with the Agro Consortium. I don't know if all of us understand Busoga. Okay. I use English? Yes. Okay, yeah. So my name is George Mwambu. I work with the Agro Consortium, and I actually manage the Jinja office. So the Jinja office serves the whole of Busoga as a region, the 11 districts. I've been visited by one of the sisters. I don't see her, she was at the back. And then another gentleman, but at least they know where my office is located. So I would be very grateful to network with your team and be able to connect to the farmers at the grassroots so that we're able to enroll them for agriculture insurance for the next coming season. Right now we are closing the season, but it will not stop us from networking and strategizing for the second season, so that we should not accept our farmers, even us. You know, some of us are farmers. Myself, I'm a farmer. I cultivated some tomatoes the previous season. I'm doing some poultry. So I know most of you are also farmers, so we're going to farm together. Your contact? My number is 0772 38 4792. We also have toll-free line. Okay, toll-free line was not indicated here. Anyway, okay. In the middle. Anyway,
I can hold. It is 08. The toll-free is 08.
0800 300 021. That's the toll-free.
It's different. That one is ceased to work. We now change.
Okay, anyhow, I'll make sure that I visit the Caritas offices in Jinja and continue the deliberations. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I believe we've not taken more than 25 minutes. For any other covers concerning insurance, we do not do life as part insurance. There's non-life and life. As we strictly do non-life, the property, the cars, the third party, and wherever. Our office is in town also. The gentleman behind, stand up, they see you, is going to stay around for any questions you have. Today we are not handling any misconceptions, rather we are doing mindset change. Okay. God bless you, we thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Agro Consortium. Please, it is a great opportunity for our farmers. These are opportunities for farmers to benefit because weather is unpredictable. So they will be somewhere and you'll have to get in touch with them for more details. Now we are going to our last session, which was supposed to be facilitated, which is supposed to be facilitated by our dear colleagues from Eden. We ask that we give them some time to present for us a very critical issue of resource mobilization. we can't come for Caritas Week and we go without. And further, you call it resolutions on resource mobilization. So I take this opportunity to welcome our dear Director Eden and Goretti to come and present to us the resource mobilization strategies. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Godfrey.